Okay, yes, thank you. The purpose of my presentation in the symposium is to look at the role of the Centre for the Child and Family in contributing to the development of the new professional and initial teacher education. The Centre for the Child and Family was initiated in September 2009 with the meta-research question: how do we integrate research and practice across disciplines and between professions to enable a demonstrable improvement in the well-being of children and young people? The rationale for this is that often professional practice and research on professional practice are very different activities. But in a world of increasing complexity, there is a benefit in research and practice mutually informing each other in a more direct way. In placing the emphasis on improving practice, the Centre will support the faculty's commitment to education as a means of humanising society and facilitating the flourishing of humanity. This is a visionary statement, but what needs to happen in practice to enable this vision to be realised? In the new professionalism project, improving partnership practice and partnership learning are seen to be specific ways of enabling this principle to be translated into practice. It is important to say that this is not just a nice idea. Within a changing social and political context, there is a continuing concern about the well-being of children and young people. There is a recognition that many children are not realising their gifts and talents as much as they should, and that many children experience neglect or abuse, which can in more extreme circumstances lead to tragedy. Following the death of Victoria Clambier in 2000, the Lamming report identified that different agencies were working to different and sometimes conflicting priorities. Due to an insufficient clarity about individual responsibilities, there was a lack of accountability and poor coordination across organisational boundaries, leading to a fragmented and often impoverished service for young people. Teachers, for example, who have regular contact with children, are in a unique position to observe behaviours that might indicate abuse or problems in their home situation. However, without good interagency collaboration, opportunities to respond appropriately in the best interest of the child are often missed. The Lamming report was influential in the publication of the Green Paper, Every Child Matters, and in the Children Act 2004, which proposed that multi-agency collaborative partnership working was required to meet the needs of children and young people with additional and complex needs. The Act also called for increased partnership working to be developed in a systematic rather than an ad hoc way. Linda, in initiating the new professionalism project within a research context at Liverpool Hope, is playing a leading role in inquiring into how new partnership practices can be developed in an informed and systematic way. The emphasis on increased partnership working in the 2004 Children Act led to the setting up of extended schools in the team around the child, with a team consisting of all the relevant professional groups, particularly health, social services and education. Education professionals, for example, may be required to play the lead role in liaising with other professionals in order to create a comprehensive and accurate assessment of needs of young people within the Common Assessment Framework. There are implications here for ITE in that teachers need to be provided with the opportunity to develop the knowledge and skills to engage in this inter- and intra-professional work. But experience has shown that although this is easy to say, it is not so easy to do. A major learning process has to take place. This is very different from learning knowledge and skills. And as Linda will be saying in her paper, we are realising that many people need to learn how to learn. There are major implications then for how we view a university education. There is a long history in considering what the purpose of a university should be. An early consideration was that of John Newman, who talked about the idea of a university. His view was that a university should provide knowledge, which was a good thing in its own right. The subject was not so important. It was more to do with a way of seeing the world, that it should equip people to be gentlemen, not ladies, because he did not see it relevant for women to have a university education. Also, a university was about teaching, not research. Research should take place in a different kind of institution. The idea that universities should focus on research came in the second half of the 19th century from Germany, when with the rise of science they developed new ways of understanding how truth and knowledge were discovered and proven, using positivist methods which were claimed to be objective and value-free. From that time on, research came seen as a much more central part of university life and what was given status. In 1990, though, Boyer raised the question of what we understand by scholarship and questioned a reward system that prioritised research in a context where, he argued, there were other activities that were equally deserving of academic recognition. He named these as integration, application, and teaching. If the aim of the Centre for the Child and Family in general, and initial teacher education specifically, is to develop a reconceptualization of partnership within a multidisciplinary and interprofessional context, then Boyer's study provides a useful analysis. In considering the new professional, for example, his ideas on scholarship can be distinguished as follows. The main purpose of the research is to create reconceptualized forms of partnership so that student teachers are better prepared to work within an integrated children's services context. The teaching of student teachers is informed by and informs this research, and the student teachers themselves benefit from and may contribute to the research in their practice placements. The intention is to apply the findings from the research to inform the development of a wider range of placements to reflect the expanded view of partnership working. The emphasis is on collaborative working and learning to create a more integrated form of partnership working between all professionals relevant to teacher education, including the integration of research, teaching and practice, and in relation to a knowledge base that will inform interprofessional collaboration. Boyer's expanded notions of scholarship may indeed provide a framework for an inquiry into how to integrate research and practice across disciplines and between professions for the purpose of making the world a better place. However, the model is a static one, and the idea of improving practice or making the world a better place suggests movement. Indeed, if it is accepted that there is no such reality as perfect practice or a perfect world, then the inquiry will be an ongoing process rather than having the aim of finding an ultimate answer to a defined question. Donald Schoen explored this issue in considerable depth and proposed that the new scholarship required a new epistemology which should take the form of action research. He based his argument on the view that new knowledge, which can be applied in practice, will not be created from objective observation and analysis. Rather, in fact, it needs to arise from the practice itself. He believes that learning how to implement the new epistemology requires a process of planning, acting, observing, reflecting, and in the light of that reflection, replanning. This is the essential cyclical process that constitutes action research. In particular, the scholarship of application means that knowledge is generated from experience and action, and in turn informs experience and action. I spoke earlier about developing partnership learning and better collaborative practices as being about improving practice, and action research is about improving the world, not just explaining or interpreting it. Positivist and constructivist methods will do the latter, and although they definitely have their place in the research world, they will not directly lead to an improvement in practice. One of the research projects that has been set up within the Centre is a collaborative inquiry with early years practitioners undertaken in partnership with Liverpool County Council. So developing an effective form of partnership working between the university and the local authority, they are using a living theory approach to action research, which has been developed over many years by Jack Whitehead and Jean McNiff and others, names that will be very familiar to those who are regular attenders of BEER conferences, and really pleased to have Jack and Jean in this symposium today. The focus in living theory is on the I, so it encourages me to ask what really matters to me in my work. How do I want to make a difference? What are the values that are important to me? And taking all of these into consideration to look at how I can improve what I do in ways that have a positive influence on my own practice, on the practice of others, and on the practice of the setting in which I work. In the collaborative inquiry, the early years practitioners meet together on a monthly basis, sharing their experience, their research questions, the questions they want to pursue in the process of improving what they do. And so they are not only working on their own practice, but looking collaboratively at how they can improve the practice of services of children within Liverpool. They have become interested and involved in the New Professionalism project to the extent that we are now exploring what they can offer in the way of providing placements for student educators. They are passionate in their belief that primary school teachers and student teachers could learn much from the ways in which they work to improve the well-being of children. And in essence, what they are doing is teaching children to learn and to learn how to learn. Hence, there is a growing sense that there is great potential in a collaboration between ITE at Liverpool Hope and a range of children's services. Having the New Professionalism project located within the centre is a mutually enriching process for both the project and the centre. And through the collaboration of all involved, we are beginning to develop new ideas about partnership amongst childcare professionals. In Tanya and Linda's presentation, you will be hearing about the research and the findings that have emerged. The process we have in real terms has just started. However, over the next year, we will be building on the work and the learning that has so far taken place, with the overall aim of improving inter- and intra-professional partnership practice for the benefit of student teachers and teacher education.